Hello, welcome back to IT Landy. Uh, Session for today is around the deployment of ELK to Azure. Previously, we have covered, the benefit, disadvantages, advantages, quick high-level comparison with Splunk. But for today, we will continue around, the deployment of the tool, and we have another session around, the troubleshooting or the installation part. So, what do I need to have as a prerequisite in Azure? I will need a VM and I will need an SG. In your scenario, you might choose not to do an SG. You might choose to do a virtual network, virtual appliances to install your environment. However, for the demo, you know, purposes, we chose to do the NSG, and it is fit for purpose for us. This is layer 4. We are happy with layer 4. Yeah. Now, assuming you got Azure subscription, you need to log on to your Azure subscription. After, you need to navigate to portal.azure.com, specify username, password, browse to your dashboard. You can see there I've got my, Splunk, and you've got my, Kubernetes. I've got my ELK activities, and I've got my Terraform on my dashboard. In your scenario, you can click on create a resource, or you can we need the resource groups, or you can use the PowerShell or the Azure shell to create it. I need to create a virtual machine with I need to create resource group, give it a name, choose the image, and deploy it with a name and basic SSH key. Again, this is very basic command. You can expand it to fulfill your requirement. What I mean by this, because I'm going to walk through the GUI part now, and you will see there are so many options which you need to take into the consideration your deployment architecture wise. If you want only for the sake of like POC, you just deploy that command and that will spin for us a VM with basic key assigned to this username. We can dial in and we can do the installation. However, let me just show you what other options are available, and it is an open discussion, which means you can basically think which area you can improve, which area require more security or more attention. So assuming you go down the road of creating a resource, create a resource group, select the right basically subscription region, and give it a proper name with your naming convention. See how that works for you. Then tag it with your process for tagging. In my scenario, I've got these basic options. I like tagging because I will need to report or integrate, automate later on. And then assuming you tag your resource group, click create, and then after creating the resource group, you see it's blank, nothing inside it. If you want to assign more tags, this is your option where you can assign more tags. And if you'd like to use automation via maybe Azure DevOps, or I don't know, infrastructure as a code, any tools you would like to integrate with, we can use, for example, export ARM template here, amended. It's using the Azure Resource Manager with the JSON file format. Or if you are not happy with these Microsoft tools, you can use Terraform. It's the trend nowadays, or you can use any other method of automation infrastructure as a code. I'll leave this one for another discussion, but for us for today, I will need to click on add, so I can add a VM into my resource group. Again, browse to compute to the right VM image, which is Ubuntu in this scenario, or you can use the commandlet, create the image with the right name and SSH key, and give it create a resource group or use an existing one, write subscription, write region, give it a name with your naming convention, assuming you do not have any restriction. Then here we can select the image or browse to your private repo where you have the approved images uploaded by your organization. And then I've selected something very basic standard size. In your scenario, you can customize it to change the size to fulfill your requirement, depending on the deployment option, either single or multiple. If you recall, one of the benefits we spoke about with ELK, it does like single node to perform better. However, which means we need to give it proper VM size with the right resource memory and CPUs and disk. Now we said earlier you can use SSH key, either single, multiple assigned to this. I will leave it for you to decide on which option. But you can choose a password as well if you choose not to open it publicly, or whatever method you have in place. You can choose either options to fulfill the requirement. However, make sure when you use SSHK it has the right encryption, right size as well. Okay, and if you choose to do the password, you select the password. You cannot do both at the same time. You have to either password or key. If you do password, here you can specify the password, make sure it's very complex, where you can store in your key vault. Select the right port, incoming port. I'm just opening because it's a dev machine. I need just for the demo purpose, I will delete it later on. So I open this port because I will install some SDKs later on and browse to port 80 and 443 internally. In your scenario, externally, you need to NAT, you need to restrict, you need to go through all the security exercise to make sure the machine is not exposed externally without the security in place, all the requirements. Select the select the disk. In this scenario, I'm selecting basic hard disk. In your scenario, you might choose to do a premium disk, which if you have a requirement for SLA 99.9, and then make sure you use your either HSM or encrypt the key via Microsoft. For the demo again, I'm leaving it getting encrypted by Microsoft. Yeah. In your scenario, bring your own key where you can manage the keys by yourself. Now, with regard to architecture, if we do clustering, mirroring, log shipping, whatever method, this is the place where you can create a LAN and share between the nodes and multiple VMs, or you can attach an existing one with the right settings. Okay, assume you are happy with all these, you click next, you go to the networking. Similar to the previous ones, either you can use your existing virtual network, subnet, public IP if needed, or you can create new ones. And again, you can go through the exercise of securing the environment, jump server. I need the public IP because this VM will be exposed externally for again testing. In your scenario, you might say, no, I don't need a virtual public IP. This machine will sit in my VLAN. There's a load balancer, NAT between two firewalls, controlling all the ports. I will leave you to decide where you will place your machine. Because I do not have this in place, I'm going to leave it with a public VM. However, I will open some ports. You can see them for in and out, and I can click on my advanced NSG. I will require network security group to open it. Again, create an NSG for my VM with the right subnets. With these subnets, you can have like peering between subnets. You can secure communication only for the right port. It is basically like having a VLAN on premise, and you can expose it that way. And then you can go down the route of like diagnostics. In this scenario, I'm going to use a key vault, which means I need to enable manage identity. I click on this one, enable it, and basically this allows me to encrypt the communication between AD and the account I will be using to run the service. Again, auto shutdown off. It's your scenario, you can do it on, backup. I'll leave that one for you to decide, but I will need to diagnose my VMs. Last part is the SDKs. You can add SDKs to your VMs or extensions. This is a place where you can add them. You can create a cloud initiate boot file, or you can add some SDKs I will be installing for the dashboard and presentation. And the last part, this is one of the improvements Microsoft introduced to, I think it was Server 2016. Host a group, you create a group, and you assign multiple VMs to it, which means which one comes first, which one goes down last, maintenance, all these fancy stuff. I will leave it for you to decide, but be careful with the gen or version of the VMs. Like version 1 and 2, either Hyper-V, VMware, whatever virtual machine host you are using. You need to make sure they do support like Gen 1 and Gen 2 encryption, and they need to make sure like this will not impact what you have. You are aware most of the Gen 2 they work with the latest security. However, for this exercise, you can see that Gen 2 VMs do not yet support Azure disk encryption. Be careful with this one. Then what we need to do, this is my VM. Click next, spin the VM. The next part is I need to open my port. I need to browse to my NSG. If you got multiple, make sure you browse to the right one. Open the port for Elasticsearch and open the port for what they call Kibana. For Elasticsearch, I will need to browse to it. Inbound security, outbound. Look at what we have at the moment. I've got only port 22 open. Click on incoming or outgoing, and then open the port. For example, for Elasticsearch, I will need to open the port 9200 to 9300. This is like 100 range. TCP source target, I've got any in your scenario. It will not be any, it will be either single IP address or it will be virtual network. Again, depend on your security in place. Make sure you select the right source and target. Same thing apply to Kibana. 5600 or 5601 port. Source target, make sure source target open to the right environment. And these are the two ports I need to be able to allow my ELK to work. So this is all what I had for you for today. Quick recap: I span only VM and I set up the NSG port. Span the VM, it's a Linux, LTS, Ubuntu, with the right settings we've went through. Plenty of settings require your input or the team input to make sure it's in line to your security implementation, backup implementation, networking, operation, as well as the typical support as well, plus the NSG. I use NSG because I do not have virtual appliances. I opened the port 5601 for Kibana, and I opened 9200 to 9300 range for the Elasticsearch logs. In your scenario, you do not need to use NSGs. You can use your own virtual appliances and open the right port and wherever you're going to place it in between these, two networks. Okay, it's a big topic. You need to talk about with your architect to make sure you're not going to impact the process in place. That's all what I had for you for today. Hopefully hopefully it was easy, and next we will do the installation.